Welcome to AI Book Highlights.
Great to be here.
Today we're looking at something really fascinating, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean.
hmm Definitely a text that sparks curiosity.
Yeah, attributed to this, well, almost mythical figure, Thoth, from Atlantis, and it's linked to the famous Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus.
That connection itself is part of the mystery.
Exactly. And just so you know, we're not doing a simple summary today. We really want to dig into some of the powerful ideas found within it.
Right. It's a text with, let's say, contested origins. Some see it as ancient wisdom, others, well, something else entirely.
Like philosophy, or maybe even something otherworldly.
Precisely. But the worldview it presents is unique. So our plan is to explore some core concepts. We'll touch on the mystery, the teachings,
And we've picked out, what, 5 key highlights?
5 highlights, and then we'll try to pull out 3 actionable insights you might find useful.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So, highlight 1, the origins and the mystery. Let's start there.
Right. So the book itself connects to the legend of the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus.
The one whispered about in old Roman and Islamic texts, but nobody's quite sure where the original is.
Exactly. There's no single verified original tablet that scholars universally agree on. We have translations, interpretations. Even Isaac Newton apparently translated a version.
Wow, Newton. Okay.
Yeah. So this lack of a definite source just adds to the whole mystique, doesn't it? It makes you focus on the ideas themselves.
Makes sense. And then there's the Thoth connection, which takes it up another notch.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you get the claims about Thoth being this Atlantean priest king.
The one who supposedly came from another planet and lived for thousands of years.
That's the story. And that after Atlantis sank, he went to Egypt and set up a colony. Ruled for, what, 16,000 years, according to the text?
16,000. And he's often depicted with the head of an ibis.
Yeah, that's the imagery, yeah.
Yeah.
Striking. And interpretations, well, they vary wildly.
Literal history versus symbolism.
Kind of. Some take it literally ancient astronauts, lost super civilizations. Others see Atlantis as a metaphor for a lost golden age, and Thoth as like an archetype of wisdom.
A representation of ancient knowledge.
Exactly. It speaks to that deep human desire to connect with something ancient and profound.
And the narrative ties Thoth to building the Great Pyramid.
Yes, but not as a pharaoh's tomb, more like a repository.
A library of Atlantean knowledge.
That's the idea. A place to preserve secrets.
Yeah.
Maybe even a center for spiritual initiation. And underneath it, supposedly, are the Halls of Amenti.
Right, the Halls of Amenti. We'll probably come back to those. It paints Egypt as the inheritor of this lost wisdom.
It does. The pyramid becomes this physical anchor for hidden knowledge. Amenti adds another layer, this subterranean realm of life, death, transformation.
It gets even more complex with the idea that Thoth's spirit or soul kept reincarnating.
The text claims his third incarnation was Hermes Trismegistus himself.
The figure linked to the original Emerald Tablet.
The very same. So it creates this lineage, this thread of wisdom passed down through time.
What's the significance of that, do you think, this recurring wisdom figure?
Well, it suggests that teachings are timeless, that these core truths keep resurfacing in different forms to guide humanity. It gives them weight.
Okay, let's move to our second highlight. The core teaching. All is one. Seems simple, but sounds fundamental.
It really is presented as the cornerstone. All is one.
So what does that mean practically if you're engaging with this text? Is it just a philosophical point?
Well, the text suggests it's more than that. It's the basis for direct spiritual experience.
Direct experience.
Through practice like meditation, introspection, psychological exercises, essentially. The idea is you can move beyond just thinking about interconnectedness to actually feeling it, experiencing the divine within everything.
A visceral knowing.
Exactly.
And this idea, all is one, it's claimed to be influential, right? Like a foundation for groups like the Freemasons, Theosophy.
Oh, the Golden Dawn, yeah. It's positioned as a source principle for a lot of esoteric and hermetic traditions.
Why do you think that single idea has resonated so much?
Well, it addresses a fundamental human need, I think.
Yeah.
The feeling of separation, of being disconnected, all is one, offers a sense of unity, of belonging in the universe. It gives coherence.
A sense of purpose and connection.
Right. And it counters that feeling of meaninglessness that can creep in.
The text even hints it holds the secrets of the universe, waiting for spiritually aware people to understand them.
Yeah, that adds another layer of allure.
What kind of secrets are we talking about? Not like physics equations, presumably.
Probably not in the modern scientific sense. More likely, secrets about consciousness, the nature of reality, cause and effect, human potential, spiritual evolution.
A deeper reality behind the everyday one.
Precisely. A reality that's richer and more interconnected than we usually perceive.
Okay, highlight 3. Alchemy. This is often linked with the emerald tablet, but not just turning lead into gold.
Right. While that's the popular image, the text frames alchemy primarily as a metaphor.
A metaphor for what?
For inner transformation, spiritual alchemy. The quest for the philosopher's stone, the thing that transmutes base metals. That becomes an allegory for refining your own consciousness.
From ignorance to enlightenment, sort of.
Exactly. Transmuting the lead of the ego into the gold of enlightenment or self-realization.
There's this term, materia prima, the one thing everything comes from. How does that fit in?
The materia prima is seen as the fundamental, undifferentiated source of all existence. Like Aristotle's idea of this basic, invisible potential.
The raw stuff of reality.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that helps see the interconnectedness again. The alchemical process, then, is about working with this fundamental substance within yourself.
Separating, purifying, recombining, but internally.
Yes. Working with the inner elements, maybe aspects of your psyche, emotions, thoughts, to achieve a higher, more integrated state.
So the physical steps of alchemy mirror psychological steps. Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about calcination in alchemy, heating something intensely to burn off impurities. Psychologically, that could represent confronting difficult emotions, burning away ego attachments, or facing your shadow self to purify your consciousness.
Ah, okay. So the outer process reflects an inner one.
That's the core insight. The real goal isn't literal gold, but the perfected soul.
Got it. Moving to highlight 4. Specific principles for spiritual growth derive from this alchemical view. One is separating spirit from earth, the subtle from the gross. What's the practical takeaway there?
It's about developing discernment, learning to distinguish what's truly valuable and lasting the spiritual insights, your inner state, from the temporary material stuff.
Prioritizing the inner life over the purely external.
Essentially, yes. Recognizing the subtle over the obvious with wisdom.
Another principle mentioned is ascending spiritually, like to heaven, then descending again, reborn to earth, to integrate the knowledge. Why the return?
That's crucial. It suggests wisdom isn't meant to be hoarded or kept separate from life. You gain insight, but then you have to bring it back, live it, embody it in the world.
Grounding the spiritual.
Exactly, making it real and practical. It avoids spiritual bypassing, in a way.
Then there's harnessing the united power of heaven and earth to gain illumination and dispel darkness. Unifying opposites.
Yes, it speaks to integrating the spiritual heaven with the mundane earth within yourself, not seeing them as separate or opposed.
How would someone work on that unification?
Well, practices like mindfulness could help. Being aware of your inner state while fully engaged with the world. Meditation can connect you to the heavenly or subtle, but you need to bring that calm and clarity into your daily actions on earth.
Creating balance.
Right. Integration leads to greater understanding, less inner conflict or darkness.
And the last principle here. Mastering the fine and subtle while overcoming the crude and hard. Sounds like ongoing refinement.
It is. It reflects that continuous process of inner work. Identifying the crude parts of ourselves, maybe negative habits, reactivity, ego defenses, and consciously cultivating the subtle qualities like compassion, patience, wisdom.
Requires constant self-awareness.
Definitely. And commitment. It's not a one-time fix. It's a path of gradual refinement. This whole process is maybe why Hermes gets called Trismegistus, the thrice great or maybe thrice born, mastering these levels.
Okay, final highlight, number 5. The Halls of Amenti, we mentioned them earlier. What exactly are they supposed to be?
They're described as these halls deep inside the earth, under where Atlantis supposedly sank, not dark, but filled with infinite light. A place for the dead, but also the living. Well, highly evolved living beings.
Like a different dimension or plane of existence, but located physically?
Something like that. It's portrayed as the central hub connecting different realities, the home of the children of light.
Who are the children of light?
According to the text, they are advanced beings who descended to Earth voluntarily to help humanity evolve, to lift us out of bondage.
And they reside in Amenti.
Yes, on 32 thrones, periodically receiving life-sustaining light. Their souls can apparently incarnate freely in human bodies to teach and guide.
Sounds like bodhisattvas almost. And there are 7 lords, too.
Right, the 7 lords of the cycles who guide humanity from even higher planes, space-times, with infinite wisdom. It presents this cosmic hierarchy of guidance.
How might we interpret these figures today, literally or symbolically?
Well, You could see them as symbols of higher consciousness, guiding principles, archetypes, or if you lean that way, as actual discarnate intelligences. Either way, the core message is that humanity isn't alone. There's support for our evolution.
And Thoth himself gets freed from these halls, becomes a master of life.
Yes, the text describes him being led before the dweller of the halls and granted freedom, the ability to come and go, essentially mastering the cycle of life and death.
What does mastery of life imply?
Probably a state of complete enlightenment, transcending ego, suffering, the usual limitations, deep connection to the all as one, conscious navigation of existence.
The text also talks about the regular cycle of souls, right? Growing, fading, passing through death.
Yeah, it describes souls moving through the veil of darkness, with death acting almost like a guide, facilitating transformation into new life. It's a cyclical view.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to take in from one text. So based on all this, let's distill those 3 actionable takeaways for listeners.
Right. First one, embrace that idea of inner alchemy.
Meaning?
See challenges, difficulties, even your flaws, not just as problems, but as raw material. Opportunities to transmute something base within you into something golden, wisdom, resilience, compassion.
Turn lead into gold, personally.
Exactly. Reframe your struggles as part of your refinement process.
Okay, that's powerful. What's the second takeaway?
Explore meditation or introspection. Seriously. The text emphasizes direct experience.
So carve out time for quiet.
Even just a little bit regularly. The idea is that turning inward, quieting the noise, can lead to deeper self-awareness, maybe even that feeling of connection to something larger. It's about experiencing unity, not just thinking about it.
Makes sense. And the third takeaway?
Reflect on all is one. Really consider it.
How so?
Think about how seeing the world and everyone in it as fundamentally interconnected might change how you act, how you relate to people, how you view global problems.
Fostering empathy.
Empathy, compassion, a broader perspective. If we're all part of the same one thing, it shifts how you engage with everything.
Inner alchemy, introspection, and interconnectedness.
Got it. Those seem like core threads you can pull from the text and actually, apply.
Well, thank you for walking us through those highlights. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean is definitely a deep and provocative work.
It absolutely is. Lots to mull over.
So thanks to you, our listener, for joining us on this exploration.
Yeah, hope you found it interesting.
If any of this sparked your curiosity and you want to go deeper into the source material itself, we really do recommend picking up a copy of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean.
It's worth reading directly, for sure.
And you can find a link to purchase the book right there in the description below.